So you are welcome to the webinar, Canada PR, Permanent Residence Route for medics. And we at Grace Edu Consult, we are very, very excited to do this with every one of us. We are so much excited, not just because of the person that we have in the house today, which Dr. Idowu Winner, not just because of the kind of heart he has, but also because of the opportunity that we see this that this webinar will hold for several people on this page. Yeah. So I shared during the week of a webinar like this that we had about a year ago for international job opportunities. Was all through free of charge. And we had some people on that webinar that walked the talk. They took action after it, and lo and behold, the husband and the wife now landed their dream job, the two of them. And that revolutionized their finances as a family just less than a year ago. So sometimes we live in a world that we believe that free things are not always free. But I still think we still have a few generous fellow. So, and I think Dr. Idowu will be willing to be very generous to everybody here today. So probably you have been trying PR, PMP, Canada route before as a medical doctor, as a nurse. I want to believe that this webinar would give you the clarity that you need, because sometimes our challenge is not just what to do, it's just how to do it. That clarity, and that's why I'm really, really excited. I'm just so much excited to host Dr. Idowu this evening. And Theon Lannister said a quote, and I shared it on the webinar page. He said that the great history of the world is that of great conversations in elegant room. And I believe that we are having an elegant room this evening, and we are having great conversations that has the potential to change people's life. So with this, so that I won't bore us with a lot of introductions, so let me just bring in Dr. Idowu Winner. Now, Dr. Idowu Winner, we've known for maybe about 2 to 3 years now, maybe approximately 2 or 3 years. And I had to reach to him when I learned some of the progress he had made so far, and he jumped on that challenge despite the fact that he had reasons to hold back. So to me, I think he's worthy of our applause today. As a medical doctor, he's willing to share what he has found out, that he has practiced, he has put to work, and that is working for him, and that has worked for him. And I believe that sometimes it's not about reinventing the wheel. Sometimes it's about just following the steps of people that have gone ahead, and to make life simple for us. And that's why Dr. Idowu is on the call with us today. So he will be sharing his screen. Don't mind me, but he will be sharing his screen, and it will be a video call. In fact, I had to prevail on him to do a PowerPoint presentation for us, so that this webinar will be intentional, and will be very comprehensive. So he will be sharing his screen, and I'm excited to have Dr. Idowu Winner. So Dr. Idowu Winner, you can unmute and come on board. Thank you so much for this wonderful heart.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for having me. Yeah. Okay, as I've told him that I'll just be sharing from what I've done so far and for what I know, so that everybody can know how to go about this. So, my name is Dr. Idowu Winner. I'm a medical doctor. I've been practicing for a few years now, and I think I got into the Canada PR process about a year ago. I've been thinking about it for a while now. However, towards the end of last year, because I saw some of my friends, they are taking like a lot of steps into it, so I just thought about it. Now, why don't I just do this? Since we're having a lot of challenges with the UK pathway, and then a lot of news about the US pathway also. So I just and Canada has been somewhere that I've also been thinking about for a while, but due to fact of practice, how practice will be, how training will be, when people talk about when people discourage you and talk about how entering Canada is not going to be so easy, and then the PR part came to be. So it made it easier for doctors. So just quickly, I'll be going through what I've prepared. So the first, this is the content of my discussion today: introduction, verifying the credentials, English requirements, entry the pool, post ITA, and then post submission or post AR. So I'll just be taking it step by step. So the first step is to just take a step. There are a lot of people that have talked about the process, but they end up not taking the first step because they don't know what to do, they don't know how to go about it. So for verifying your credentials, the first thing to do is to go to Physician Apply website. So you can just type Physician Apply on your browser, and it takes you to portal.physicianapply.ca. So you have to create an account first. Creating an account, I'll also be giving us a step-by-step of the pricing also. So creating an account costs about 325 Canadian dollars or 330 Canadian dollars thereabouts. So you have to create an account first with the medical board there, and then verify your degree with them. That's the first step. So when you do that, you would have to upload some documents, your passport photograph, your passport data page, that's your international passport data page. But the international passport data page that you're uploading is a notarized one. So you have to photocopy or print out your passport data page and then notarize it with a lawyer who will sign and put a stamp, and then the notary public sign. And then this is what you upload onto the Physician Apply portal. So then there are some other documents require your signature and all. Then after that, the next step is to do your source verification request. It's something like ECFMG or EPIC that we do. So some people, when they've done their ECFMG or EPIC, they can just input the number onto this source verification request to make it faster. But then you have to pay about 167 USD for this to do your SVR or source verification request. If you have not done ECFMG before, you don't need to worry about it. Just is a very simple step. Just click on the source verification request. You upload your medical degree. After you have uploaded your certificates, they will take about a week to or 2 weeks to just verify that, and then they will send a message to your school so as for them to verify that you actually graduated from the school, and then your school has to reply back to them that you graduated from the school, and then that's all for the source verification request. It does not take a long time if you have a contact in your school after they've sent a message to the school. So the final thing after doing your source verification, can everybody hear me, please?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
sorry, I know that I've just been talking and going straight into it. But the final thing after doing your source verification request that you'll be doing on Physician Apply is your ECA. That is your educational credential evaluation. So what this does is to put your medical degree on par with a master's degree in Canada. So what they do is evaluate that you've gone to medical school for 6 years or 7 years, and then give you a document that states that your medical degree is on par with a master's degree in Canada. So that's what they do. Then they send you a document that you'll be uploading when you are creating your Express Entry profile. So this is the first step. So after you've done this, consequently, like side by side, subsequently, you should be preparing for your IELTS or your CELPIP, IELTS general or CELPIP general, just to to max out your scores. That's just it, because there's a place of calculating your CRS scores in the first place. Yes, that's actually the first step. So you have to calculate your CRS score, and that is on. You just type in CRS score. There's a place on the Canada website where you calculate your CRS score. And what this involves is your years of practice, your IELTS scores, that's language requirements. Some people do French. For doctors, you may not need to do French because they are looking for doctors. So a lot of people, the scores that we use, that they use for doctors are for medical health professionals are quite lower, and then doctors are able to match that score because our credentials give us that master's level. Certification. So for the CRS score, it takes into account whether you have a relative over there, whether you have worked there before, you have a certification from Canada, or you have from Nigeria. But not all these things are important. Personalizing it to mine, I did not really have most of those things. What I just had was my IELTS general, I had my medical degree, and then so you have to choose masters or a professional license. This thing when you're checking for your CRS score. I maxed out those things, and I had like about over 3 years of experience. So that gives a good score for you to use for your Canada PR process. So that is 3 years post grad. So your internship counts. So ECA. So after that, I said your English requirements. So for the IELTS general, master your scores to about a band 8. So you have to have like a band 8.5 to 9 in your listening. You have to have a band 8 to 9 in your reading. You have to have 7.5 and above in speaking and writing. 7.5 and above in speaking and writing. So you have that is to max out your scores for IELTS. For CELPIP, you have to have 10 or above. So CELPIP is 10 is to 12. So you have to have 10, 11, or 12 in each of the domains, and that gives you the maximum score for your language. For people that do French alongside, that gives you additional scores. French can be quite expensive, so if you're not able to do that, you can just do your English and get your scores. So for after that process, the next thing is to enter the pool. So that's why I say you can be doing both the physician apply process and then the language exam concurrently, so that you're able to just immediately you're done with getting all your credentials, then you've done your English exam, you can enter the pool immediately. So for the credentials, I know I did not mention the timeline. So for the timeline of them verifying your international passports and all can take about 2 weeks. For the source verification request can take about 2 weeks to 3 weeks thereabout. Also, your ECA can also take about 2 to 3 weeks. So roughly, all this can take about 6 weeks to 2 months for you to complete the first step. About 6 weeks, 2 months to complete the first step. And if you are doing your English exam concurrently, about 2 months you should have completed all these things and be ready to enter the pool. So entering the pool is quite easy. It's just that there's a few technicalities. So it's Canada.ca immigration, refugee citizenship, and then you create an express entry profile from there. For an express entry profile, you have to take note of your name in creating an express entry profile, and then you have to be particular about your work experience too. Use places that you're sure you can get your references. So places that you have worked and you're sure that you can get your references from there. So those are the places that you should use. And then, but it should still be up to the required amount of work experience that you need. Then your name, how you should input your name should be as it is on the international passport data page. So your first name should be like your first name and middle name together, while your last name will be your surname only. So when you're inputting it, you're not going to see them telling you first name and middle name. They're just going to tell you surname and first name. So for the space that you're going to input your first name, you have to put in your first name and your middle name as it is on your international passport data page. Okay, so then you create an experience entry profile. You're going to put in your work experience, your certificates, your medical degree, and also that's basically it for that one. It's an easy process to create an expression profile, and it's free. There's no payment for that. So after I've created the express entry profile, now you need to wait for a bit. You need to wait for them to send you an invitation to apply. So this is done about 6 times a year, maybe a bit less, maybe more. So they've done 2 draws for healthcare this year. So you are waiting for healthcare draw, basically federal skilled workers, healthcare. That's the category that you are going for in this for the express entry, federal skilled workers. So you're going to be waiting for an healthcare draw. There are other draws. They come at different times of the year. For French draws come more frequently compared to other draws. So they've done only 2 draws for the healthcare this year. And the first one was in February, and the second one was in June. It was last month. So after you've gotten an invitation to apply, then you now need to accept or decline. Some people can decline, maybe they are waiting for some other thing, maybe they don't have enough money to complete the process, or they're just not ready. Some people decline. So, but you can accept. And when you accept, there are some documents that you need. Some people get their reference letter in that waiting period because towards the middle end of the year, the draws become more frequent for healthcare. So you can get your reference letter early. But the advice that I got was just wait until you get the IT, and you can get your reference letter very easily in 1 to 2 weeks. Most of the time, you can just get your reference letter from the places that you have worked. But your reference letters have to be specific. There's some specific things that have to be there. So let me just start. For the documents that you need your passport photograph, and it has to be to Canada specifications. There are some specifications like the size for Canada PR, how the passport should be. Studio 24 helps with this a lot, so you don't even have to bother about anything. Just go there and tell them that you want a passport photograph that is according to Canada specifications. They will do everything for you. You don't need to bother about anything, and they have to stamp the back of the passports because that is also important, because it's one of the things that you would also upload. So for the second one, you need a reference letter from places that you have worked before. So in this reference letter from places that you have worked before, you have to have a reference letter that lists your role, the amount that they paid you per month or per year, and the task, the things that you did while you are in the hospital. So because you're going as a doctor, so it has to be doctor specific tasks. So and then it has to match your NOC. There's something called NOC. So there's a particular NOC for doctors. I did not include it here, and it's also something that you need when you are creating your express entry pool. So you can browse it out. Yes, there's there's a NOC code for general practitioners or family physicians. If you are already a family medicine consultant or something, and you want to go to Canada. So for that reference letters, you have to put in the reference letter and also payslips of about 6 months that you have worked in that particular place. So if you don't have payslips, you can use bank pay stubs. That is payment coming from that particular organization that you have worked into your account if you're not able to get pay slips, because it can happen. I think I had issues getting my pay slips, so I had to use my bank stubs. So you can get bank stubs of that payment. So if it's a good if it's a, how would I say, official organization, to have the company name or the hospital name in that bank statement. So when you do that, you can just put in a letter of explanation below that on so day this company paid me this. These are the days that they paid me. You put the date so that the visa officer is not going back and forth looking for where they paid you. So they just see the date and go to that date to check, see the date and go there. So it makes it easier. And all these things there's a way you package them together, and then there's a particular size that they have to be. And you have to make them into PDFs. There's a particular size that they have to be. And then you join everything together. So you have to have reference letter for each places that you have worked. They'll give you spaces for you to post them. Then your police clearance. Police clearance is quite easy to get. You can do that online for people that are not in Lagos or Abuja. But if you're in like a major city, sometimes you may not get, if you do it online, you may not get the request for you to come for capturing quite easily. So you can just walk up to them and request to talk to anybody, and then they will do the police clearance for you. For your medicals too is easy. They do it in Q Life, they do it IOM also. You can just go to their websites, book an appointment, and you're walking into the place of the medicals, do your medicals, and you're done. It does not take long. The appointment, there are a lot of appointments on the page. So when you go to the website, so you can Google Q Life too when you're ready. While for education credentials, you have to merge your ECA, your medical degree, and then your IELTS or CELPIP together. So you have to merge those documents together, and that's what you'll be uploading onto that space. For proof of funds for Canada for a single person is about 16,000 Canadian dollars. For two people is about 20,000 Canadian dollars. I think for three people about 24. So just all this information are available on their website, the Canada website online. Then if you are married, you have to put in your marriage certificate. You have to put in pictures that show that you are married. So you have to prove your marriage. So for people that are married, like they are married to doctors or other healthcare professionals, or anybody, if the person has a master's, it helps your score. It helps keep it on the same level or adds 1 or 2 mark. If your partner is a doctor, you can even add more to your scores, or a nurse too. It's just 1 or 2 marks, so it adds to your scores. If that person does their own IELTS or CELPIP and marks it out also, so it helps your score also to go up a bit. Then after the ITA, then you submit your documents. When you submit your documents, they send you an acknowledgement of receipts that they've received your documents, and then they are processing it. So when they do that, it takes about 3 weeks to 10 weeks for them to send you a document that you should go for biometrics. So they will send you a document to go for biometrics and fingerprinting at the VFS location in Lagos or Abuja. So you go there for biometrics and post submission or AOR. I hope you are still with me. Is there anything that is not? Okay.
Yes, we are.
All right. So biometrics, you go if you have a dependent, you also go to, they will send you the biometrics letter for collection letter for your dependent also. So there's one important thing that I missed. When you're submitting your document, you have to pay a fee for submission. That's for PR, for the PR card, and that's about 1,600 and something Canadian dollars that you have to pay at that point. So you have to pay about 1,600 Canadian dollars when you're submitting your documents. That's the PR fee. Then that's when you wait for the biometrics to come. Sometimes it can take longer, sometimes it's shorter. So timeline 5 to 10 weeks, you get your biometric collection letter. So after you've given them your biometrics, you're now waiting for the final decision. They're going to be doing background checks on you. They're going to be doing eligibility checks and all, and then they're going to pass your medicals. So waiting for final decision can take about, well, it can be as short as 1 month or less. For now, we've been seeing people that get their final decision in 2 weeks, in 1 month. We are not really quite sure of the criteria of why that is being done now. But yes, there are people that have been getting it in shorter time, and it can take up to about 6 months also. So it all depends on the visa officer that is processing your documents. Then they can also ask for additional requirements sometimes if they are not clear on the documents that you have submitted. Maybe your workplace, common mistakes, maybe your reference letter does not match your the NOC code, does not match the general practitioner role. They can ask for additional requirements, or you do not submit enough pay slips, or your proof of funds, they are not quite sure of your proof of funds and want you to prove that you have the required funds to relocate. So those are things that you can get. So for the proof of funds, this is just like a how will I say it? A tip. Some people do gift deeds. Maybe you have a relative that can give you the money for relocation. You have to prove that they are giving you the money for relocation. So you have to create a gift deed that you'll be attaching to your proof of funds documents. I think Grace Edu should be able to help with that, with advice on that. So that's not an issue. Then after the timeline of 3 to 6 months or less, they are going to request for your passport. After you have satisfied them totally, they're going to request for your passport, and that is when they've given the final decision that, okay, you're now eligible, send in your passport, let us give you a visa. So you're going to send in your passport, they're going to stamp it. In about 3 to 6 weeks, they return your passport. They'll tell you to come and collect your passport back at the visa office. After that time, you can fly at any time, but you have to go to Canada before your medicals expire. So because if your medicals expire, you cannot enter with that visa at that point in time. You have to do another medicals and send to them. Things to note: if there's any other thing that you do within the time, maybe you get married, you have to inform IRCC. Anything that happens, like any change that happens between that time that you're doing the process, you have to inform IRCC. And I think for one of the things that you get in your documents is a letter stating that is in the proof of funds, a letter stating that you have been using your bank account for the amount of years that you have been using it. So you have to include that in your proof of funds. Then things to note, you have to improve your IELTS or CELPIP scores. Some people don't get the right scores at the beginning, so the advice will always be to max out your scores so that you get the maximum mark. The maximum mark now for doctors, if you don't have like French, or maybe you're not adding your spouse to get, even if you're adding your spouse, most of the maximum mark that you get is like 481. For February, the scores that were invited was greater than 467. Well, for June, it was higher, 474 or 5. That was the score for June. So some people envision that it will go higher, but it can go lower also. It will go lower at a point. So just get all your things ready, like enter the pool, get all the documents ready that you're waiting in the pool, so that immediately it comes out, you're good to go, not that you're now waiting again. So you can also gain more experience. As I've said, if you have 3 years or more experience, you have more score compared to when you have less years of experience. And then I said your internship year also adds to it. Then about age too. Age also matters. So when you're above 30, for every year that you're above 30, they deduct about 5 points. So do it early, do it now. Then for PMPs, I'm not quite sure how PMP works, but they say Manitoba does PMP. PMP, you have to apply to that particular province to be able to get provincial nomination. Is a bit different from having the express entry like from the healthcare draw. For PMP, you have to go to that particular province, while for the express entry federal skill worker draw, you can go to any province that you want once they give you the visa. So keep your documents current. As I've said, for the post-ITA document, just wait till you get the ITA before you start the running around for the reference letters. And then make sure your reference letter clearly states your role, task, and remuneration. And thank you very much. I don't know if you have any question.
Much, Dr. Do that's very explicit and very, very clear enough, and at the same time, it's very comprehensive. And at the same time, at least you have been able to put all of this together like this, like volumes within just 30, 40. Thank you so much for this. We appreciate it. I'm very sure that we have a lot of people questions in their hearts, or probably some things like, how do I do this? How do I approach this? What about this? I've been doing this. Can you help me with this? How do I solve this issue? So we want to just use this medium to engage you practically on these questions. So let us just crave your indulgence a bit to get questions from people on the page. So if you are not comfortable talking, you can just drop it for us on the chat on the group. But if you want to ask it here, I think you can have it directly. So let's just signify by just raising your hand in the chat if there's any place to do, or probably just unmute your mic and speak. Let's have questions from you, because I have my own question too, but I hope it will have been asked by somebody. So just unmute and talk. Okay, I think.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. A very good friend, Sataiwo, and thank you very much, the guest speaker. Okay. So please, it's more of a concern, right? Because you've been very explicit. So I think I understand. The one I would have loved to ask about is the provincial nomination, and you've already gave your response to that. However, when I try calculating my CRS score, it was in the range of maybe 430, 440 thereabouts. So, and from what you mentioned, that the past few scores, were way higher, and some people are even projecting that it's going to go higher. So, I just want to ask, practically, what's your advice? And currently, I'm at a level that I've only just registered for, paid for the MCC, right? So, would you still think that, having calculated that score, and in that score, I calculated it based on what I have, right, as of now. I don't have a relative in Canada, and I don't have French. I think those are the only points that are remaining, so to speak. So what would be your advice? Yes, thank you.
Okay, should I go ahead and answer?
Yeah, please do so.
Okay, I don't know. There are sometimes that you may make mistake in the calculation of the UCRS score, but if it is truly 435, I would advise that you just go ahead and do the French exam, because the French exam, for the scores in selecting for French nomination, the scores are very, very low. you'll be seeing 360 something, 390 something. So if you do French, it helps your score great. It may not help your score, but it helps your chances of getting nominated greatly. So just go ahead, squeeze face, do the French, and get nominated. That's just my advice at this point. Or if your spouse, if you have a spouse and then the scores for your spouse are better, your spouse should be the front facing person. Your spouse should be the main applicant, yes. Should be the principal applicant compared to you.
Okay, sorry,
Thank you very much.
so, let me ask more question on this. What if that applicant's spouse not a doctor? Can that still work?
Oh, no, because the scores
Maybe no.
for people that are not in the healthcare space, their scores are higher. So most of them have to do French for them to get higher, for them to be nominated more clearly. So the scores for healthcare is lower.
Lower.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Still on that same note, on the same note, what if like this part of saying do you relative in Canada, is it not what can be worked around? Like probably just talking to one old friend, distant colleague, and so like is there a way around it?
No, you have to be like a blood relative. So most times they state it there that this person has to be like your sibling or
Oh,
your parents, yes. And for
I get
this, most of the time when you're applying for PR to Canada, they ask for the names of your siblings.
of the siblings already. Yeah.
Yeah, so if that person has applied to PR before, the person must have listed you as part of
Said
their siblings.
exactly.
Yes, before you
I
can.
get that. I get. Another person with a question. Let me unmute him. Please, you can talk. We have somebody else who's trying to raise his hand for a question. Okay. So, okay, if nobody is talking, let me ask some other questions. Yeah. Hello. You
No, I
mentioned it.
raised my hand quite true, but you muted me. Then I now asked the question through writing. Please, can you
Oh,
answer
sorry.
the
Please ask
question?
it.
I'm here chilling.
Please
Yeah.
ask him. Please ask him. Sorry, ma. Ask.
Thank you for everything quite true, but I've been listening, and this only pathway, I presume, is meant only for the doctors because me, I'm a registered nurse with NCLEX in Texas, but UK. But due to this retrogression, I'm planning to relocate to Canada. That's why I joined this group. But I didn't see any or hear anything concerning the nurses. So I just want to know, is there a pathway for the nurses? And what do I do in respect of that? Thank you.
Okay, good evening. Sorry. So for I know he was talking to me about including the nurses. So for the nurses, you have to have like a master's degree because the nursing degree was equated to a BSc. So you have to have a master's degree inclusive. So and then for but if you want to have a good score, you max out your IELTS, you max out every other thing. And then for nurses, PMP nomination is easier. It's easier to get PMP nomination for nurses compared to doctors because most of the province around there are looking for nurses. So most times they select nurses from the pool for provincial nomination. But I'm not quite sure on the process on that. So you can speak to other people about it, like for particular provinces where you can apply for provincial nomination. So nursing provincial nomination helps them a lot. But if you're not going to go through that pathway, you can also go through the French pathway, as I've said. You can also write a French exam and then get nominated easily. And then when you calculated your CRS score, I want to ask, what was your score? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you calculated your CRS score before?
Not really. No,
Okay.
I did not.
Because I know at some point the scores for healthcare were as low as 459, 460, and I am hoping that at some point in the year the scores will be as low as that. But if you have a master's degree, you can add to your score, greatly improve your score. Or if you have a diploma in something else, it can greatly improve your score also.
Well, I have only diploma in nursing, midwifery, and theater nursing. Currently, I'm doing my BNSC nursing, which I'm in 400 level. So I don't even have a master's degree.
Yeah, I think there's a space for picking 2 degrees, either having a diploma and then a BSc degree together. It helps your score also. So,
All right. If possible that you can assist me in those things, I can private chat you so that you put me through more. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, you're welcome, ma. So, do we have any other question in line with the webinar? So, while we are thinking about that, Dr. Winner, you said the high score for doctors should be around 8.5 for 8.5 to 9 for listening, 7.5 speaking writing, 8.0 for reading. Wow, that's very, very high. But this is general, right? General IELTS, not academics.
yeah, yes, this is IELTS general.
Will you say
I'm not saying that you
this is
cannot
easier
have,
to make?
sir?
Will you say this is easier to achieve compared to doing academics?
Well, for me, I would say it was easier to achieve. But when I spoke with
Like
other
the
people, they said
general
it
is
was the
simpler.
same thing. But for me, it was easier to achieve in general compared to academic.
Academic. Good.
Yeah, and other people have said that self-peep is a better option, that you're able to
Options. So
max out your scores more with self-peep than IELTS test.
that's good. That's to just kind of encourage people that are taking IELTS academics. Okay, sorry, my network. For those who have taken IELTS academics before and their scores um it's way higher. So, do you have any other question? Another question for a doctor. You mentioned something about Studio 24 or something. Is that like a website or what?
No, Studio 24 is a photography studio. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, Studio 24 is a recognized studio in Canada. Like, it's a recognized photography studio in Canada. So they are the
I think we have lost. You are back now. So he's having challenge with his network.
Okay, can you hear me?
You should join us. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Sir, we can hear you, sir.
All right. So I was saying, I said Studio 24 is a recognized photography studio in Canada, and they know the specifications. But you can use any photography studio as long as they know the specifications and know what to do, and they have their own stamp, or they're able to sign their own signature at the back of the passport photograph.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So for the proof of fund, so is that going to be like a definite amount of time it will spend in your account from the time of IT, or it has to have been there all through the process? When exactly is it needed?
Well, that's a tricky question to answer. I would like that to be like a more private conversation compared
Okay.
to, yes. But the proof of funds, as I've said, you can do a gift deed. It can be like a person gifting you that money at that particular point in time. It does not have to have been there for
There all the way.
all through. So the person could have
Okay, good.
just like given you that money at that point in time for relocation purposes.
For location
And
purpose.
the person has to be somebody close to you, either a family member or like a mentor. So you have to
Okay.
prove the relationship. For a family member, you have to put in, like, if it's your mom or your dad, you have to put in the birth certificate that we have the name of your mom and dad. You have to put in the receipts of them sending you that particular money, and them saying, and that gives the states that okay, they are giving you this money for relocation, and it has to be notarized by a lawyer. So
Oh,
that's
good.
basically it.
I think I get that. So that actually makes it very easy because people can do proof of fund around this. So yeah, it's good. So do we have another question again
Sorry.
on this?
Yes,
Okay.
please. I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
We talked about your passport being stamped by Studio 24. How about people residing in a place that they can't get Studio 24? Can you just follow the specification for the passport and use, and will it still be accepted?
Yes, that's what I said. I said if there's a photographer that knows the specifications and knows what to do, you can use that. I did not use Studio 24. I just used the photographer that knew the specifications and what to do. So you don't need to use Studio 24 like exactly. I'm just saying that it makes it easier if the person.
Hello, Doc. I have a question.
Go on, sir. Go
Hello?
on. Please go on, sir. Go on.
Okay, so my question is for that uh, uh, presentation or enlightenment. So my question is, are there platforms maybe in Canada or abroad where one can apply for those, or that give loans for relocation?
Sorry, we've lost our facilitator. You should join back very quickly. I guess
Sorry.
it's back now. Please, you can ask again. Please, you can ask your question again. It's back now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I
Okay, so
can.
my question is: are there probably agencies or platforms in Canada or abroad that gives relocation loan for international applicants?
Relocation, I'm not sure of that information. Okay, so the thing is that IRCC has to be sure that the money is your own and you're not returning it back. So I don't think there are agencies that give relocation loans. And that's why I said this is a dicey issue that I would love to, I
Yes,
would have
yes,
discussed it here. So it's not.
okay, yes, I get you. Even on that, um, aside from the 1,600 dollar Canadian dollars that will be paid after ITA, between that step one and ITA, it's will you be generous to just like the roughly amount of money that can finish it for a doctor? The one
Okay,
for CGF, FNS, the one for apply physician. I think those are the major expenses there, right?
so for nurses it's worse. They are not doing physician apply or
Mm.
CGFNS. For nurses it's worse. They have to evaluate their credentials and then they enter the pool. For doctors it's physician apply. For the doctor's pricing, I think I mentioned that for physician apply, you have to use 330 Canadian dollars to create the account. You're paying 165 USD for your SVR. Then for your ECA is about 132 Canadian dollars also. So roughly about 700 Canadian dollars. You should get the first step sorted out. The physician apply step.
Okay, okay, that's noted. That's noted. Do you have any other question for
But then you have
our
to factor
speaker
in the fee for cell paper and IELTS too. Sorry. So
to
that's
into it? Okay, that's true.
Hello, sir.
Hello, ma.
Thank you, Dr. Idowu. I want to ask about the concerning having a relative there. Okay. Now, that relative, does the person have to have a PR already,
yes, person
or
has to be a citizen.
someone has to? Okay, has to be. Okay, all right. Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Oh.
Hello, sir. Hello.
I can hear you.
Please go on, ma. Hello, you can go on, ma.
Hello. Okay, thank you very
Yeah,
much, sir. Please,
please
my
go on.
question is about the ECFMG. I didn't hear what you said about it. I'm very sorry. I had network issues then, and I want to understand the how we can use the ECFMG in the source verification request that you explained. I didn't get it.
Okay, so there's an ECFMG number. So you can include that when you are trying to
Thank
do
you.
your source verification request. There's a place where they will ask you for if you have a prior ECFMG number and you want to add to it, so you can impute that there.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Good evening, sir.
good
Good
evening.
evening, sir. Yes, thank you for doing this for us. I have a question concerning the certificate, because you mentioned certificates for the SPR, but someone else told me transcripts and I sent transcripts. So I don't know, is that a problem, or is it something that I need to change, or and how do I change it if it's something I need to change? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I think the for the SVR, if you have a certificate, you're supposed to use the certificate, but because transcript is for when most of the time transcript is for when you don't have a certificate, or for nurses when they are doing their worst. But yes, there's a drop down for transcripts, so and they can also honor that request if they send it to your school and your school responds to them in time. So that's not an issue. But if you that's not an issue. If you want to change it, it's just to send them another message on your physician apply account.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other question as we round up the webinar? So, in your last word on Dr. Idowu, would you say this Canada PR is really worth it in terms of giving it a trial, like in terms of the the effort, money that went to it? Like, is it, do people really stand a chance of getting this? Do people really
Yes.
stand a, yeah, do they stand a
Okay. So
chance?
I think it's worth it for doctors now, even though some doctors are scared that when they get there is now another process. But then getting there is the first good step. When you get there, then you can write your MCCQE, and there are easier processes for doctors now. So you can always find out about stuff like that. Nowadays, in the PRA pathway also for people that are been in residency for a while. So, or you have your fellowship, you're a consultant, or even if you don't have your fellowship, if you have been in residency for like a year plus, you can go into residency directly when you get there. So it's a worthwhile process now, pending the time that is if you're also still thinking of the US pathway, pending the time that you go there for the nurses or for the doctors, I think it's a worthwhile process.
Yeah, thank you for that you just mentioned now. For somebody who is a consultant, is there going to be any additional mark for their PR instead of just MO?
Yes, the years of experience adds more scores to them.
Of course, for them. Oh, good.
Yes.
And can that kind of compensate for the age?
Yes, because the fellowship also translates to a PhD, not a master's degree. So it adds more scores that
Okay.
makes up for the age.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. Thank you so much, Dr. William. We are so grateful to have you around. So, and I think we don't have any other question at the moment. So this webinar has been recorded and it will be uploaded and shared with us. So in case you want to just
So, ask the question.
listen again. Okay, you have a question?
So, let's say someone gets cancer, and I just want you to give us like how many years or a range of the number of years. Let's say as a medical officer looking into Canada, what time frame in terms of how many years can one start get an opportunity to start practicing on the average?
Okay, so I don't get the question, but if
Okay, if a medical officer is looking to Canada as a like medical officer, like how many years would it take to be able to start practicing? You know, all the exams and all of that. Like how many
okay,
start
so
practicing?
what makes it easier for some people is that they do their MCCQE in Nigeria prior to relocation. So you can do your MCCQE like while in the process, maybe after ITA while you're waiting for the final decision. You can start preparing for your MCCQE 1. So you can do it immediately and then relocate. So when you get there, what you are doing is just your camp, or you are trying to do some the PRA pathway to enter into practice. So I think roughly about a year or year and a half, you should be ready. I think in a year, if you have done your MCCQE in Nigeria before leaving. But if not, then 2 years, it should be done.
Oh. So I think that's like all for tonight. Any other question? If there's not going to be any other question, we would like to draw a curtain here. And we are saying a big thank you to Dr. Idowina for being generous to come to share what has worked for him. So, and we do pray that people here will also have similar testimonies in few months and few months' time, by God's grace. So we'll share the recording of this webinar probably during the week so you can just go over it. And I will also talk to Dr. Idowina, probably if he would be glad to share his Instagram and do people that would request to probably talk to him or probably ask some questions directly from him. So I will ask if that would be what he would like, maybe later. So thank you everybody for coming on board. We appreciate everybody that participated in this webinar. We are so grateful. So this is Grace Edu Consult again. Let's have an amazing weekend and week ahead. Thank you so much. Bye everyone. Let's have a beautiful week ahead. Bye. Thank you, Dr. Winner. We are so grateful.
Bye, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.